I'm not at home, as you can see from the background. I'm not in a bathroom, as the team asked me earlier. I'm in a meeting room in one of the offices in the city. So, and I'm managing this from my phone, so it's not going to be quite as seamless as when I'm at home, but I'm sure we'll get by.
So we've had to do more difficult things than this.
Yeah, that's for sure. I can't believe how many people are tuning in for this webinar. It's obviously a really hot topic. One of the things that we have been asked is, why aren't we lobbying the government to help with the businesses on the Northern Beaches? And I know you've got a response to that.
Yeah, well, we have been lobbying government, but more broadly to help landlords, both commercial and residential landlords, since March, really, when a lot of this stuff came out. Yeah. I mean, government's generosity is being funded by landlords.
Yeah.
And it is completely inappropriate. There was a small amount of money put forward by the Labor Party, as you might recall. I think it was $2,500, which was suggested that the government provide that to some landlords. That was never provided. I noticed yesterday, the day before, Leanne, that Western Australia and Tasmania, however, are going to be supporting their landlords. So,
I saw that.
All I can say to our friends up the Northern Beaches, I think it's wrong. I think government has an obligation to put its hand in its pocket and do something to help out. I also note, finally, on this, that the stamp duty collections this year, as opposed to last year, are hundreds of millions of dollars more than they were last year. So it's not like as if we're short of money.
No, that's right. And it is, it's an area that we will continue to communicate and lobby government on. There's no doubt about that. So let's jump into what we need to talk about today. Firstly, let me just say that we will get a poster for your office and your open homes, as well as all of the questions and the answers to all of the questions out via email to everybody that's on this call today. So we will send you all of that information in writing.
So the poster is for your opens to actually be saying some things about masks and some of the other requirements, I think.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Can I just pre-frame this discussion so that everybody at least understands one of the problems that we're dealing with? And one of the problems is as follows, that the answer to the questions that we are trying to respond to today are spread across at least 4 primary documents.
Yeah.
Okay. And then to make life a little more interesting, the definitions of some of the key words that are in those 4 documents are in unrelated documents. So it's a bit like if we were to say, let's get the definition of real estate agent, and we would find that in the Motor Vehicle Act. So we're dealing with some things like that as well.
Yeah.
And lastly, just to make it a lot of fun, they are also changing the documents practically daily.
Yeah.
If not, and leading into the 31st of December, it was daily. If not, I think one day there, it was twice in a day. So it is a full-time job for us to be monitoring these documents. And unfortunately, despite our begs and pleas for them to send it to us when they do it, it's as you know, it's falling on deaf ears at this stage. But
sometimes the responses need. I mean, I often have to send you an email saying, "Can you please translate government for me?" Because I can't read government. Yeah. I don't understand what they're saying half the time. So yeah, it is important to note things are changing very quickly. We are on top of it, though. We are getting the answers, and I would just encourage everyone to be looking at all of the emails that are coming out from the REI team. They will send information out as soon as it comes to hand, but you do need to make sure that you open the emails and read them.
That's exactly right. And just one final thing in relation to this, the COVID safety plan, I think for opens and auctions, on-site auctions, is really our source of truth, okay?
Yeah.
However, it is likely to change again daily. So every time you have an open, so you go from one Saturday to the next Saturday, go into that link and print out the new one. Okay, because my suspicion is, we'll talk about this in a minute, my suspicion is that the record keeping requirements, currently it's to do it electronically, and that's all you have to do. We'll talk about it a bit more, but there is a possibility that it will then go across to the Services New South Wales app.
Yeah, but it's not, and that's a really important point, because there's been a lot of misinformation out there about that. At the moment, real estate businesses are not required to use the New South Wales Services app. They've got to use something, but they don't have to use that app, right?
That's correct. But interestingly, in the COVID safety plan that is provided, it says that the employer basically has to tell their employees the benefits of the New South Wales safety app. The Services New South Wales safety app. So you've got to sit your people down and actually explain to them that this is a really good app as part of your safety plan. Go figure.
So let's just, because most of the questions that we've got, or a lot of the questions that we've got, are around the app. So we don't have to use the Services New South Wales app, but we do have to have some kind of electronic collection, correct?
Correct. And if you see me referring to this, it's because these are all the questions that I got.
Yeah, I know. So what if, so I'm really old and I don't have the right kind of phone, and I don't have a QR code thing, and I don't want to deal with that, but I want to come and have a look at the property. What happens?
Yeah, so when that person turns up, you would take their details and then you would input it into an electronic system. Okay, so, and it might be, you might have to run, let's say, 2 separate records, if you will, because if you're using a QR code and the person turns up and they can't do it for whatever reason, like you've said, that they don't have a phone, and there will be people out there like that, no doubt. Then you will need to take their details and key it in electronically. So you might be running 2 lists. A
couple of systems. Yeah, okay. So Rosanna has just said, didn't government say recently that all businesses have to use the Services New South Wales app? Yep, they did. Yeah. But in fact, the real estate businesses don't have to. They have to use something, but they don't have to use that. We have triple checked that as recently as this morning.
Yeah, about 15 minutes ago, we managed to squeeze an answer out of Fair Trading on it, but it was
one of those ones. Tell us yes or no. So we have got it in writing from Fair Trading.
But where the confusion came, Leanne, was it the Minister Hazzard said that everybody had to do it, and if you didn't do it, you were going to get fined and beaten up and all the rest of it. Yeah. And I suppose what Fair Trading was saying, we don't want to contradict the minister, but I get it. But nonetheless, the way that I read the COVID safety plan that is applicable to auctions and opens, you didn't have to do it. But so
and we don't.
Minister Hazzard was not correct.
Not correct. But let's be nice to Minister Hazzard. He's got a lot on his plate. Yeah. Okay, so we don't have to have individual QR codes for each property or for each open home registered. It's just one QR code, whether it's for our office or it's a rental inspection or it's a auction. It's okay. It's just one system is fine, right?
I don't know the answer to this question because that's a technical one. So let me answer it legally. When you are having an open or auction at a particular site, then you need to create an electronic record of all of the people that attend that site. Now, if you go to a different site, so we go from 10 Smith Street to 10 Jones Street, you will need to have a record of all of those people. And I think you will need, that record will need to be able to demonstrate all of the people at the different sites. So that's what you have to achieve. Somebody did ask the question that can I use this
Home Pass?
Home
Pass or Inspect Real Estate,
CRM system and et cetera. I mean, I don't have an answer for that, but my answer is that you do need, if government says to you, tell me all the people who came to 10
you need to be able to identify them.
Between that open, you have to give them that answer. and it has to be in electronic form.
Yeah. So I'm not the lawyer in the family, but I'm pretty confident that so long as you can provide that information electronically, then it's perfectly fine. You don't have to have a separate QR code for every property. You just need to be able to identify the people that went through each property. So I think that should answer that question. And if somebody is not able to access a QR code, or if your system is that you are entering into your CRM, that is also okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's, all I can talk to, Leanne, is the outcomes. You know, I'm saying you have to be able to produce it.
Yep.
So how you do that and what technology you do is a question for you, but that's the outcome you need to deliver if required.
Does this apply to Strata on-site AGMs? Look, to be frank, I would say yes, just do it. I think it's not that complicated, right?
I think that's a pragmatic answer, because I can see an argument where somebody would say no, because what we're looking at is opens and auctions on site, and that's all that the order covers. So look, like you say, let's make this comment. Look, all of this is for our protection and the protection of the community. You know, masks and all of this sort of stuff. That's what we're trying to look at. And I mean, as a lawyer, I quite often, for my clients over the years, had to look at legislation and to maneuver a way through the legislation so that we could generate our outcomes that we wanted without breaching the legislation. So you do put the thing under a microscope. But in this occasion, I think that we need to be embracing it and the outcomes that we're looking for.
And that's the thing, right? We've got to look at the outcome that we're trying to achieve and the spirit of what's being done. We've got to be reasonable with government, because everything's being changed on the run, and that's just the way that it is. So any of the businesses that are registered, thank you, Jackie Jones, any of the businesses that are registered can actually just get a QR code link from the Services New South Wales site. So there's a link there. Yeah. Now, do we have to wear a mask in the real estate office?
No, you don't. You don't have to wear. There's a couple of and this is where I said to you that the answer to these questions is scattered everywhere throughout document and is very good. So you don't have to wear a mask in an office. But you do have to wear a mask in an office where you are dealing with the public. So the example I would give here in the Institute is a 4-story building. So on the ground floor is our store. People come in and buy their sold stickers and the like, and they are dealing with 2 of my team members on the ground floor. Now that is a retail outlet, and that retail outlet. What are you doing?
I'm trying. There's questions that are coming in. I told you before, I'm on my phone, so I've got to fool around with the phone. Just talk amongst yourselves, all right?
Okay, because every now and again, all I see is this whopping great finger.
It's my finger.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't know whether you were trying to show that you'd had your nails done yesterday, which does actually raise a COVID question in itself, but we won't.
I haven't had them done. Done.
Anyway, so if you have an office that interacts with members of the public, then you must wear a mask in the office. Now you can segment your office. So and again, back to the Institute's example, our ground floor interacts with members of the public, and as a consequence of that, my team must wear masks. And obviously the people coming in must be wearing masks. Now here's an interesting point in all of this. The obligation on my team members to wear a mask is in part mine, okay? In part mine.
Mhm.
The obligation on the people coming into the building, the members of the public, is on them. All right, because it talks about the
Okay. Yep.
person. So when
Yep.
the person goes into a department store or Woolworths and these sort of places, the obligation to wear a mask is on that person. The people who wandering around taking things.
So the people going to open homes, it's the obligation is on the open home attendee.
Yeah. So the person coming in has to be wearing a mask. Now, the other question that comes out of this is whether or not the agent can enforce that people wearing masks.
Yeah.
You can make it a condition of entry that somebody comes in. Now, there are precedent to demonstrate that if you are protecting people from an injury or something along those lines, a health and safety issue, that you can require people to conduct themselves in a certain manner. So you can do that. Now, what I would do though, at a practical level, I would make sure that people realise that the requirement to actually wear a mask at this particular open was on. You had to do it.
So that's why you want the poster, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I think what we would need to do is actually put that out as part of our advertising. Now, I can hear everyone screaming, but we live in a rotten world right now. But I think you'll have a lot less problems if you actually advertise that and say it is a requirement. The other thing, at a practical level, have some masks and give it to people when they.
Yeah, totally.
Just
Let's not make this harder than it already is, people.
Exactly.
All right. So in a real estate office, if it's just the team, no need to wear a mask. But if you are a receptionist dealing with the public, you need to wear a mask.
Yep.
If you're a salesperson or a property manager signing leases or doing negotiations and the customer is in front of you, you need to wear a mask.
Yeah.
That's it.
Time that you are interacting with the public, you need to wear a mask. Now, I gave the example of the Institute. I think this is important because I gave the example of the Institute being able to segment a part of the office, which is our ground floor. Now, if you have an open plan office where it's on one floor and it goes all the way back to the back area and there's no separate area there, my view is everybody in that office would have to wear a mask. Okay. So the exemption only applies when you are separated from the public. See, that's where the trigger comes into it, because the office is exempt, but the trigger gets pulled when a member of the public enters your premises.
Okay, I think we all need to be sensible about it. Use your common sense. You should be able to work out what's right and what's wrong. Okay, now, what legal risk, if any, does an employer carry if, one, they choose not to impose mandatory mask wearing in their office for either staff or customers, given there's no government mandate for real estate offices? So that's not actually right. It doesn't, even though real estate is not specifically mentioned, it does specifically mention when you are face-to-face with a customer, right?
Yeah. So a good question, because when you, as you rightly say, when a customer comes in, you must wear the mask, and that is certainly in the public health order. So that's clear. As to whether or not you wear a mask.
Let me just say that again. In your office, or if people are coming into your office to negotiate a lease or something, it is your obligation to wear a mask, and that is in the public health order. Correct. Let's be clear on that. Yeah.
So again, I'll use the Institute. The ground floor we discussed. We also have
training upstairs
on the top floor. So up there, and so both of those floors in the Institute, everybody on those floors needs to have a mask on.
Yep. Okay.
Right. So back to the second part of that question then. I would put this in the same category as wearing safety glasses or a hard hat. You would be saying to people, you as an employer you would be looking at the risks that are inherent in the environment within which you are. You know, if you're on a building site, you've got your hard hat on. If there are risks involved with employees, then the employer has a duty, a responsibility to minimise or extinguish that risk. So if you end up with somebody that develops COVID in your during a work time, I would say that is a workplace injury. But for more information along those lines, I'd strongly recommend that you contact my good friend Brian Wilcox at Reef.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, flip past that one to Brian.
Yeah, a little hospital pass over there to Brian.
All right. You might want a hospital pass this one as well. What risk does the employer carry if either a staff member or a customer suffer a bacterial infection or other adverse health events from wearing a mask?
Yeah, again, it's a workplace injury. So I will, like you said, I think I'd flick it on to Brian.
Flick it over to Brian.
When somebody is injured,
you're following government. You're following a government mandate. So I really don't think that the employer. Anyway,
look, it's a messy area when you have employees. If they get injured, then you know the primary position is that it's the employer's fault. That's just how it works.
Yeah, totally. All right. Now, do we have to have every person at an open? Like if there's a family group, 2 adults and 2 kids coming through, do we have to have every person register with the QR code?
My understanding is yes.
Yeah. When people, we've got an office using the Services New South Wales app, but they are not able to, how do they see the details of the people that are going through?
Yeah, now that's
a technical question.
Yes, it is, but it is a technical question. Like I said, this is the outcome that you need to do. And we have provided an app also for people, which they can go on and use within our system. So if you're not aware of that app, please contact us and we'll connect you with it. But I think one of the basis of the question that this person is asking, if I'm understanding it, is that they want the details of the people who are attending the Open.
Yep.
And they want those details like we've done pre-COVID, so that they can go out and further contact these people, keep them in the loop in relation to the property that's being offered. You can't use the data for that purpose. This data this data is being collected purely for contact tracing for COVID. So if you want to be able to use data collected to be able to contact these people, you are going to have to run a separate list. Don't yell at me. I'm just the messenger.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. Okay. Yeah, that's important. That's really important. Do you need to wear a mask when you're doing a listing presentation?
Well, technically no, because the trigger for wearing a mask was 2 things. One, you had to be in a retail or commercial property, and you had to be interacting with a member of the public, and we spoke about that. So when you're in a person's home, you are not in a retail or commercial property, but you are dealing with a member of the public. All right. So let's put that to one side and come back to the fundamental question. We are here to protect people. This is what it's all about. So I think if it was me giving the presentation, I would walk into the room and I would, with my mask on, and I would say to these people, are you happy for me to take my mask off? So that I can talk to you, and I'd make a demonstration that I'm going to sit away from you, and all of that. But I think you will win more points with a consumer walking through the door with your mask on, asking permission to take it off.
I completely agree. That's really good advice. Yeah. Can you prevent people entering an open home or your office if they refuse to wear a mask?
You can make it a condition of entry. And like I said, if you provide masks and all the rest of it, but I can see disputes coming out.
Exactly.
I can. I know there's people out there that are screaming, "I've got it's my freedom," and etc.
All that.
So, like at the end of the day, you may have to deal with those sorts of things, but I would make it a condition of entry that they.
If people have got a health condition and are exempt from wearing masks, can you ask to see the exemption?
No, I don't believe you can. I think when I looked at that one, that question beforehand, I went, that's a tricky one. But I think if you say to somebody, look, I want you to wear a mask, and they say, I can't because I'm an asthmatic or whatever the case may be. If they give you that as a reason, if it was me, I would accept it. There is exceptions to this in the public health order, and that's one of them. For medical reasons, you don't have to. It's a bit like children under the age of 12 don't have to do it. They're a carve out as well.
Yeah. Can you advise what are the owner's rights regarding access for buyer inspections in a rental property currently?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to say is, just because of COVID, the rights to be able to show the property and the rest of it, the way it was pre-COVID, haven't gone. They no longer exist.
Yeah.
Sorry, they haven't diminished. So whatever we had pre-COVID in relation to inspecting properties still exists now. Okay. But when you overlay COVID over the top of it, what we have seen is people saying, well, hang on, this property, my rental property, is my home. And what you want to do is to bring in Joe Public into my home, and you're exposing me to all of these risks. And as a consequence of that, I'm refusing to let you in. Now, in those circumstances, and it goes to NCAT, I understand that NCAT has looked favourably upon the tenant's position on it and refused to allow people into the property. That has been a number of cases that's been drawn to my attention, and that obviously is problematic. The other thing that let's raise also, which is just dreadful, is that people are refusing to leave the property. So you get a property, you get it exchanged, and it has a completion date, and the tenant says, I'm just not moving out. And when you go to get the thing listed at down at NCAT, the queue is that long that you're not going to get your matter on before completion. And we've had a number of them also. So when it becomes time to complete the contract, the vendor can't. And unfortunately, I can't see that stopping in the short term until NCAT gets better resources and are able to deal with it. So,
okay.
In answer to the question, I think agents have great negotiating skills, and I would turn them on flat out
exactly.
if I were you, and try and get it done that way.
And so I've just had a question about where this all relates to. This, we are talking about Greater Sydney. We're not talking about the northern beaches, but we're talking about Greater Sydney, which is Sydney, Blue Mountains, Central Coast and Wollongong, correct?
Yeah, somehow our friends down in Wollongong joined Greater Sydney. I wasn't quite sure how that happened. And similarly, the people out there in the Blue Mountains, we welcome you into Sydney. But yes, that is right. So we have a set of rules. This is what I said at the beginning. There's a set of rules for the northern beaches, which are quite draconian, and then we have a set of rules for the Greater Sydney, as it's termed, and then the regional areas which have far less restrictions on them with masks and the like.
Yeah, okay. Getting a lot of questions around the 4 square metre rule. So if I've got a 100 square metre apartment for viewing, does that mean I can have 25 people in that property?
If the maths works out, yes. But that's right. If it's 100 square metres, which is a fair sized property, I would have thought. Yeah. But and the answer to the question,
100 square metres isn't very big, just saying.
Oh, well, What I'm saying, I'll put my lawyer's hat back on.
Yes, please.
Is to ensure that there is 4 square metres in the Greater Sydney, in the Greater Sydney area, 4 square metres, and obviously out in the regional areas, it's a lot better than, I think it's 2 square metres.
Yeah, that's correct. So Greater Sydney is 4 square metres. It's not just open homes either, though, right? It's in your office, it's auction rooms. It's a 4 square metre rule inside. Right?
Yeah. Yep. So, but this is, as you say, it's inside.
Yeah.
Inside. Now, up the Northern Beaches, you can only show a property with an appointment, and you can only show one person.
The Northern Beaches. But hopefully that will all change in a couple of days.
Yeah, well, hopefully. The Southern Northern Beaches is now joined the Greater Sydney area.
Yeah, okay.
And we welcome you back as well.
All right, now, we've suggested anyone using the exemption to not wear a mask, that they wait until all other people have vacated the property, therefore make it a private appointment after the open. Would that be okay?
Absolutely. That to me is embracing.
Very sensible.
It's embracing the purpose of all of this legislation. That's what they're trying to do, is to protect people. So
exactly.
That sounds like best practice to me.
So getting a lot of questions in still on there's some confusion around the 5 people in the home rule or the square metre rule. The 5 people in a home is a social event. The 4 square metre rule is appropriate for open homes, correct?
Yeah, so let's try and make this a little easier. The solitary document that will guide you here, I think, in all things, and I'm happy to be corrected on that, is the COVID safety plan. So in the drafting of this particular document, it's quite bizarre, because they say, here are all of the industries, and it's in a schedule to the health order. Here are all the industries that must have a COVID safety plan. Now, interestingly, real estate is not in that particular schedule. So we went, hey, you don't have to have one. Then in a completely separate area, they said that you have to use the COVID safety plan, which we're going to give you. Now, in the COVID safety plan that we're going to give you is the requirement to do all of these things.
Yeah. Actually, I have got a question here. Does our office need a COVID safety plan, and is it compulsory?
The office?
The office, yeah.
I don't believe so. I don't believe that. I'm about 95% sure that the answer to that is no. But the question.
However, they do need one for open homes or auctions.
Correct. So
right.
that today is where I focused my research, Leanne. But
yes,
we can come back to that. But I'm about 99% sure that you actually don't need it.
For the actual office. I just think we've got to be really careful about the language, right? Because as soon as somebody hears, no, the office doesn't need one, they could be hearing, I don't need one at all. Yep. Whereas that's not the case. You don't need one potentially for your actual office, but you definitely need one for open homes and auctions.
Yeah, so I think they term that an exempt gathering, and that's in a schedule as well, an exempt gathering. So things that are exempt as farms and these sorts of things. Entertainingly, we
don't have time to be entertained, Tim. We've got a lot of questions.
You'll like this. An exempt gathering is when you get together to protest against government.
Oh, God.
So you're allowed to do that.
So as far as QR codes for guests in offices, you do need a QR code to register everybody who's coming into the office, tradespeople, tenants, those sorts of things, right?
I would have people who were coming into the office. I would do that. Yes, I would do it. As to whether or not in your real estate office you have to do it. Like I said a second ago, I'll have to go and have a look at that.
Actually, someone's just popped up and said the COVID safety plan has a few questions regarding your office procedures. So you do have to have one in the office as well. It serves for both office and open homes. There you go.
The office procedures. I'm not sure that's what it says, because in the COVID safety, in the public health order, it directs us to the COVID safety plan, but in the heading that is in the public health order, it talks about opens and auctions. So let me come back to that question. I'll do some more research, but
Okay.
what I do know is that commercial property, retail property, is exempt as a property for gatherings. So, and I think the reason behind that is that they don't want to force people out of work.
Yeah.
So that's why I think. But within your office, again, let's take the reasons why we're doing this.
Yeah, totally. And just to answer a couple of questions on the fly, yes, the recording will be available afterwards. We will send you all of the links. So, John, the link to the new COVID plan we need to update will be in there. And we will send you all of the answers to these as well. Now, if somebody
the documents, the links that we're going to send out will be the COVID safety plan.
Yeah.
All right, a link. And again, I underline this, please. Print it out afresh every time you're going to need it. Go back into the system and grab the latest one. So we'll have the COVID safety plan. We will also have the Northern Beaches public health order. We will have the masks, because that's in a separate document, and also the gatherings, which cover everywhere across the state, and then on top of that, obviously, you've got the Northern Beaches.
And can we also include a link to how to get a QR code?
Yeah, well, are you talking about the government one?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm out of my depth there, but we'll go and have a look.
One of the team will make that happen.
Yeah.
If a tradesperson is simply calling in to collect a key for a property, do they need to be registered on that day with the QR code? Is it based on time spent in the office?
That's about people coming into your.
So yes, you do.
And I don't think. Just bear with me. I don't think that you actually need to have that. It's in schedule 2 of exempt gatherings, and one of the exempt gatherings is a gathering at an office building, farm, factory, warehouse, commercial, fishing, etc., etc.
Okay, but let me ask you this, Tim. If you've got a whole lot of tradespeople coming in and out, people keep picking up keys, all of that sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden there's a COVID incident in your office, your receptionist has got COVID. Surely you are going to need to be able to tell everybody who's interacted with that receptionist that there's an incident. So just have a QR code, and people, it takes 2 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. It's very, very simple to do it, and just let people do it. I mean, we've been doing it now for months with restaurants and pubs and all
exactly.
Of those
it's not that big a deal.
Other places that COVID has driven us to.
Okay. Sorry, I've got so many questions. Can you give me a time check? Because this is hard work on the phone.
22:12.
Thank you very much. If you're not doing open homes and auctions and only doing inspections by prior appointment, do you need to have a COVID plan?
That's a good question.
It is a good question.
I think yes, and the reason I think yes is because the trigger is to be at a residential property for the purpose of showing the property. So the answer to that is yes, you will need it.
Yeah, okay. This question has only just popped up, so we've answered it a couple of times. No, it is not mandatory to use the Services New South Wales QR code. Yes, you can use another provider.
But look, I'd make this comment about that. If you can use it, if you're happy to use it, please use it, because my tip on this is going to be that at some point, not too far in the future, they are going to make you do it. Now,
I agree.
When Leanne goes and gets her hair and her nails done, the providers there must use the Services New South Wales app. Must.
Yep.
So it's only a matter of time before we will have to do it anyway. So you do need an electronic version to do it. So
Yep.
look, do it now.
Yeah. Okay, so Tony, I know this is for hotspots, but is there basic COVID requirements for open homes in Newcastle, for example?
Well, Newcastle is not part of
No,
Greater
but
Sydney.
but are there still? Isn't it? Don't we still have to have a safety plan and all that sort of stuff? It's just that mask wearing we don't need to worry about.
Yeah. So that's right. So there isn't all of the requirements in the regional areas, and our friends in Newcastle aren't in the Greater Sydney.
Mm-hmm.
But they still will need a COVID safety plan, I think. We do a bit of research while we're talking.
Yeah, good idea. Man, the questions are coming in thick and fast.
Well, you man the questions and I'll do the research.
I'm doing my best, love. So maybe we can do some research later, Tim, because we've got over 30 questions. We're not going to get through them because you take a really long time to answer them. Just saying. I run a commercial agency and I'm wanting to confirm what tenancies come under the new legislation. From what I can determine, it is just small retail shops. I presume it does not now cover industrial or office premises.
Correct. So that was what I read out a second ago. In schedule.
Yeah. Okay.
It's when I send this out, if the person asking that question wants to make a note now, if you have a look at Schedule 2, paragraph 10, that will answer your question. And at the top of the page, it says exempt gatherings.
Okay. Right? Yep. No problem. Excuse my finger. I just need to go back to all of these questions that keep coming in. Just wondering if Fair Trading have said anything about adapting their QR code to allow recognition of multiple locations. I think they've probably got too many other things on their mind at the moment, to be honest.
Pass.
Yes, we do need to have more than one. So would you know where other real estate agencies obtain company QR codes instead of the standard New South Wales service code? We can probably get an answer for that and send it out.
You can go in and get your own QR code. I think if you go and do a Google search, you can find them, and I think they're actually free. But
yeah, they are.
But again, my rhetorical question is, why would you do it? Why not just get hold of the New South Wales app and that I know that you've got the problem of the data, you haven't got access to it, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, all I can do is apologise for that.
And so, Melissa, no, masks don't apply for regional areas outside of the Greater Sydney that we've already talked about. Do you have to supply the mask if you're stating that it's a requirement of entry?
You don't have to, but again, I would take a pragmatic view of it. Like I said earlier, I would make it very clear in the advertisement that I have that this is an open home, that there will be a requirement for you to wear a mask. I would then on site have masks available, and I would have the hand sanitizer out the front of the premises before you walk through the door, and do what you can. But again, when you get to a stage of refusing somebody to come in who's saying to us, I have a God-given right not to wear your mask and all the rest of it. Look, I think that those people will be in the minority. I'm walking the streets as you are, and there's clearly compliance out there. So
massively,
you're only going to get, I reckon, a few crazy exceptions.
Yeah. Do we have to wear a mask when you go door knocking?
When you go where?
Door knocking.
Oh, okay. Sorry. No, you don't. But
stand back.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. You're gonna knock on a door and somebody's going to walk out, and there's going to be a conversation there, and we pick this disease up. What they call it, by aerosols or whatever it is. So, protect yourself. Your employer may say to you that you must wear one whilst doing that. Similar strategy for the safety glasses and the hard hat.
Okay, so Darren has said the CRM softwares have QR codes now for properties. So you can print a QR code out for each property if you want to. So thank you for sharing that, Darren. Please clarify, at open homes, can we use HomePass alone and not use a QR code? We can easily provide an electronic list from HomePass by property.
If the use of HomePass or similar products can empower you to be able to give government, the health or fair trading, all of the people that attended, the names and contact details and the rest of it, when you are asked to do it, that's fine. But I can't tell you that HomePass can do it, or
okay,
or the other side of it.
Yes. So so the answer is yes.
People use the QR codes because it does the job, but at the end of the day, it is your obligation to do it.
Assuming if we drive a client around in the car, then we have to wear a mask. Is that right? You've got Uber drivers.
I know. Look, I think no, you don't have to. But why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you wear a mask? If you're driving, you're not. The trigger again is you're in commercial or residential, retail property, commercial or retail property, and you are dealing with members of the public. Now, I'm not sure that your car is going to be either retail or commercial. I'm not trying to be smart here, but I don't know that it is. Although I can appreciate an argument that given it is a business, that it's an extension. But look, again, if in doubt, wear your mask.
Can a staff member refuse to wear a mask whilst they're dealing with the public, either in the office or at an open home?
At the open home, there is an obligation on the staff member to wear a mask because they are at that particular premises. All right, it'll be in the COVID safety plan. Now, the fact that they are a staff member or somebody coming to the property is irrelevant. So what it says in there, and this is a really good question because it highlights where your obligations are. So in relation to the property, the agency has certain obligations which are set out in the COVID safety plan, and they're your obligations. People coming to the property, they have obligations, same as people going to Woolworths and these sorts of things. They have an obligation to wear the mask. It's their obligation. And your employees have an obligation to wear the mask as well. But on top of that, your employer can take the view that it is part of the safety equipment that you need to wear.
It's required,
and it's required. All right.
And so if an agent chooses not to wear a mask at an open for inspection, they can get fined $200. But there's also what happens to the employer.
That's I'm not sure about the employer, to be honest with you, because I don't think the employer would get fined. I can hear my friend Brian Wilcox crawling up a wall now. But I think the employer wouldn't get fined. And the reason I think that is because the obligation to wear the mask is on the person. Because that's when you read the public health order, and I did send it to you so you'd read it.
You've met me before, right?
Yeah. It says the person, and the person is members of the public and everybody else has to wear the mask.
Okay. There's a COVID safety plan that we're to use for opens and auctions, but that's different to being a COVID safe business, right?
Yeah.
So
that was the question I was going to look into, as to whether or not the business needs to have a COVID safety plan. Now, what I did a second ago, as you know, for the person that was asking that commercial, it says there that it is an exempt gathering. So the question I'm asking myself, given it's an exempt gathering, whether or not I need a COVID safety plan for a commercial or retail property, that is dealing with consumers, members of the public. So I'll do some research on that.
Okay, that'd be amazing. Thank you. Now we've got a strata office. Our managers attend on-site meetings. Are there minutes enough to record attendees? Even though obviously they need to be digitised, but are the minutes enough, or do they need a QR code as well?
You need, well, the first question, and I don't want to answer, I don't have an answer for this one. But the first question is, do you need to do anything at all? Because the meeting or the gathering, if we can call it that, is not an open or an auction at the property. Now, again, I'll do some research on that, but by way of some example, if you were meeting at Strata Complex A, you know, in the room there at the complex for the purposes of selling it or leasing it or having an auction there, the answer to that is yes, you do need to have a COVID safety plan. But the question that's been asked is, if I go there with for the purpose of having a strata meeting, do I need to do it? To be frank with you, I don't have an answer to that, but my practical answer once again is do it. Just do it.
Just do it. Okay, now I can't believe that I'm asking this question again, but it has come in at 11:52, so it's only just come in. Do you need a QR code for an open home?
No, you don't. What you need to have is an electronic record of all of the people who attended the property. So you need to ask yourself this question. If Fair Trading came walking through the door and they said to you that I want you to give me a list of all of the people that came through here and their contact details, etc., could I give Fair Trading or the health department, that list within 4 hours?
Yeah.
For some bizarre reason, it's 4 hours, but you have to hand that over. Now, whether you do that by way of a QR code, whether you do that
or home pass, or your
whatever you use, whatever
exactly.
you use, you have to be able to answer that question.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Is it correct that the COVID safety plan has to be re-entered every time online? There doesn't seem to be a way of keeping existing information.
Yeah. Like I said a second ago, every time that I did this, I would go in and refresh it and have a read of it, because they are changing the rules and they are not telling you. So the answer to your question is, go in and print a new one out every time. Put the data in as you need to, and I think that is the intention of it. Is that you can't go and fill it in where it says property and you say, and you can't write in there all properties that I ever list. You've actually got to put the name of the property in there.
A good question from Irene. Can the COVID safety plan that's available on our REI website have a date stamp and time to show it's the latest version? You can't answer that. You need to ask people that are smarter than you. Come on.
Yeah, that's a technical question, isn't it?
It is.
Well, when you say it's available on our website, I think it's a link between our website and government. So I have been comprehensively unsuccessful in trying to get government to do things like that. So Irene, I will try my best.
Christopher says, I think I saw somewhere that the 4 square metre rule doesn't apply for inspections of less than 25 people, but I stand to be corrected. I don't know if that,
Yeah, so they're in the health order. And again, we have to be careful here to talk about Greater Sydney and also
yes, totally.
Out in the regional areas, because like I said, the answers here are coming from everywhere. It is the greater of that. So and again, Christopher, if you can just bear with me a second, can I have a little bit of research?
Irene's saying that COVID safety plan's got our logo on the top right-hand corner of it.
Okay.
She's right on it, Irene.
Okay, thank you, Irene. Greater Sydney, must not allow more persons on the premises than A For the parts of the premises that are indoors, the number of persons that is equivalent to one person per 4 square metres. Now, for people outside of the Greater Sydney area, this is where Christopher's question is coming from. It's talking about 25 people on property, and the difference between Sydney, Greater Sydney, is 1 per 4 square metres, and out in the regional areas, it is 1 per 2 square metres. So they are viewing, health is viewing people in the regional areas as being less exposed to this, so they can stand closer together. I will allow the smart people in health to make that determination.
Okay, so the QR collections go to the government if needed. Does the business have a copy of the names collected as well?
You cannot use the data that is collected for your business purposes. All right, the data that is collected. So we're all back to the privacy and et cetera area. The data that is collected there is collected exclusively for contract tracing. And again, I can hear people yelling. But if you want to use, if you want the contact details of people coming to your property, then you need to have a separate list. Now, I notice in some of the pubs that I've gone, not that I go very often, Leanne, or the restaurants that I go to, there's this little tick box, and it says, "Do you consent to us sending you endless marketing material from the pub or the restaurant?" And I always say no.
Exactly. But you need someone to acknowledge that that's right. If you have auctions in a room in a hotel or club facility, do you need to use the office COVID safety plan or the club's COVID safety plan?
Where do people come up with these questions?
I know.
If you've got a auction room, so I'm thinking about Jesse Davidson and Damien Cooley, etc. There are special rules applicable to those auction rooms, not if you have an on-site auction. So if you are an agent and you are going to auction rooms, the requirements will be on the person who has effective control of those rooms to do it. Now, I have the answer to it, but I have to dig around and get it. If the person asking this question is an agent wondering about their obligations going there,
it is.
I think that the obligations generally would be on the person who has the property.
If we use our own CRM attendee system, surely we can use this for both COVID and business purposes, the same system we use for private COVID. Yeah, as we've said, you can use those CRM systems so long as it's electronic, and you can provide a list of the people within 4 hours electronically to government if there's an incident.
That's right. That's right. Now, I think the question you read out said, surely we can use the information. The answer to that is no. If I say to you, Leanne, I need to take your contact details, and I'm taking it so that I can provide it to government for contract tracing, et cetera, and you say, that's fine, Tim, here are my contact details. If I then use that information to come back to you and communicate with you, that's a breach. So you need to be.
So, but you don't need to have. Do you need to have 2 separate lists or one list with a sign off to say, yep, COVID, yep, property information?
That was the reason that I said in the QR code, if you tick that box. So so you need consent to use the list.
Whew. I'm exhausted. So if there's other questions that I've missed, please, my apologies. There were so many double ups of questions. I was trying not to read every word of every question because I had 100. So well done, you. The recording, you.
Oh, good.
because it's midday, and you know how I love to be on time.
Mm.
So if we've missed any questions, please just shoot us an email. The team will put together the recording, the links, the questions, the answers, all of that information. But please, you all know how to reach out to either Tim or myself. And if you've got questions we haven't answered, please do so, and we will answer them.
Yeah,
so
right.
Thank you.
We will do our level best to keep you informed, but as I said to you, there's multiple documents. It is a very fluid environment. They're changing things constantly. So we will do our level best. But as it sits today, they're the answers that I've provided. Okay,
just one last one. I completed my COVID safety plan in September or October. Do I have to do it again, or does the original one stand?
Well, it's exactly what I said. I would print it out again. Every single time that you want to do one, go in and print it out again, because they are changing it. And whilst they won't tell you that they've changed it, they will turn up and say that you haven't got the up-to-date one, and for your troubles, here's a fine.
Yeah.
So every time, print it out now, and look, scan the document to make sure it hasn't changed.
Okay. I'm going to hang up now before there's any more questions, but yeah, we will answer them for you separately.
Yeah, and please, I'll just reinforce that, you know, we're here for you. So, yeah. So please, if you have questions, send them through to us and we will answer them.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Jan. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.